When the Going Gets Tough, podcast 2. I woke up this morning and I walked into my bathroom and I saw an image in the mirror who looked exactly like me. I said, "Good morning." Immediately, the image said, "Good morning." Simultaneous. I said, "Who are you?" He said back to me, "Who are you?" I answered. I said, "I'm Yisrael Roll." The image said, "I didn't ask you your name. I asked you, who are you?" I said, "Well, I'm the husband of Julie and the father of Rivka and David." And the image said, "I didn't ask you what your relationships are. I asked you, who are you?" I said, "Well, I'm a psychotherapist and I'm a rabbi and a former lawyer from Canada." "I didn't ask you," said the image, "what you do for a living. I asked you, who are you?" I said, "Well, I have a house in Baltimore and I drive a Camry." And he said, "I didn't ask you what you own. I asked you, who are you?" I said, "I give up. I gave you my name. I gave you my relationships. I gave you my profession. I gave you what I do and what I own. I give up. You tell me, who am I?" The image said, "I know who you are. You're a horse." I said, "Excuse me? You better explain." He said, "Gladly. Horses always try to eat the best kind of food on the meadow. Horses eat alfalfa, oats, grains. And I happen to know that you love a steak. Well done, to be exact." I said, "Well, that's a pretty broad generalization to say that a horse eats and I eat. What else you got?" The image said to me, "I happen to know that when stallions run in the meadow, there's always one horse trying to get ahead of all the rest, and all the other horses chase after it. I happen to know that when you were a rabbi in London, you tried to come up with new programs like the beginner service and the Shabbatons and family events. You tried to get ahead of the pack. And now, as a psychologist, you're trying to do programs and crash courses and all these videos. You're trying to get ahead of the pack, just like the horse." I said, "Not bad. What else you got?" He said, "When the stallions see a female horse, a filly, in the meadow, the horses react. It goes like this." It reacts. And I happen to know that when your wife comes into the room, you adjust your tie. You react, horses react. So you're just like a horse. You eat like a horse. You conduct your career like a horse. And you conduct your interpersonal relationships like a horse. You are a horse. I said, "Not bad. I'm a horse." And then I said, "Just a minute. Let me think about this for a second. Wait, I'm not a horse. I'm the rider of the horse." You see, the horse is our natural instincts. It's our lusts, our passions. In Hebrew, we call this the nefesh, the guf, the body. We give in to those lusts and passions, and that's what Freud calls the id. The rider of the horse is the neshama, the soul. We access the neshama, the soul, through breathing. We breathe in. Try it. Breathe in. The breathing is called neshima. A breath in Hebrew is called neshima, which is the root word of the word neshama, soul. When you breathe, you gain consciousness of your soul. And that's what a soul is. A soul is a breath of God. When you breathe in, God is breathing out into you. He's breathing himself into you. He's breathing a dimension of God, a piece of God from above into you, a chelek elokam imal, from above. That is your essence. And therefore, when I have a rider, my rider can direct my soul. When I'm able to choose between my body and my soul, that's called exercising my tselem Elohim, my godly image. When the Torah tells us God made man in his image, it means that God gave us a tzelem Elokim. He gave us a power to choose, the breath of consciousness to choose between meaningless activities, physical, immediate gratification, or meaningful, everlasting, or eternal activities. We live here in the Ruach. We have a soul called the Neshama. We have a body called the Nefesh. And in here, we have the middle called the ego. The ego, says Freud, is the rational mind or the middle mind. And we call this the Ruach, the emotional self. And it can choose between the body or the mind. It can choose between meaningless activities, lusts and passions, or the superego, dealing with the higher self. And so therefore the three dimensions of self correspond to what Freud talks about. The mind is the superego. The emotional self is the ego, and the body self, the nefesh self, is the id. And we have the power to choose. When we gain consciousness, when we have a sense of self, we can choose. And therefore, when we live here and we're faced with challenges in life, we can either go down into gravity, into our body, and respond with an angry physical response, with an id response, with an instinctive response, or we can use the Ruach and go against gravity and answer from here, answer from our conscious self, our godly self, the part of us which resembles God. That's what a neshama is. A neshama is the part of us which resembles God. And therefore we have an opportunity now that God believes in us, so much so that in the Torah he tells us, Ubacharta b'chaim, choose life. That's our opportunity. That's our exercise of our free will. That's our secret weapon to deal with life's challenges. When the going gets tough, choose life.